It's windy, so hopefully you can hear this. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to start digging into this Poulan Pro. There's your model number. For some reason, I don't know, does Frigidaire own Poulan? That's news to me. I'm not really a big Poulan aficionado. I don't know a whole lot about them. I haven't worked on them a bunch, but this one was free, so can't complain about that. There's no deck, but that's okay. There's still a surprising demand for riding mowers without decks, just for mudding machines, pulling machines. Guys use them for firewood or whatever, just hauling trailers. So, you know, if we get this thing running, it's probably worth about 200 bucks in my neck of the woods. There's no PTO engagement lever, completely deleted, so I'm not going to try to put a deck on here. The guy said that this ran, but there was black smoke, so that could be a couple of different things. Off the top of my head, could be valve adjustment. It could be running rich and just be a carburetor adjustment, or it could be a plugged air filter, just something that's causing it to run rich. It's got a cool little ammeter on there. Does have the ignition switch and key, so that's cool. There was a battery, but I traded it in for a different machine, so currently has no battery. That battery was no good, so no big deal. I have a battery for it if we get this thing running, or when we get it running. This tire was low. I just put some air in it. Probably not going to hold. And this tire was low also. Tires look okay. Surprisingly, this one held air, but look at the checks on that thing. I mean, all the way around it. That's insane. That's one of the worst tires I've ever seen, and it's still holding air. That's crazy. But the ones that are leaking look in better condition. This one's okay, but again, it's got checks. So off top here, this has got a 16 horse Kohler command, and it does turn. A little oily down here, little dirty. Uh-oh. What do we see here? What is that? You see what I see? Yeah, looks like we got some critters. Yeah, some nest material. Let's look on this side. More of the same. Kind of oily. That should clean up. Looks like that's odd. Looks like it's leaking from the. Looks like it's leaking from the carb linkage. That doesn't make any sense. Right there. I'm gonna take a look at that. Unless it's coming down the backside, no. But you see, we got more goodies back here behind the air cleaner. Does have a fuel shutoff solenoid, and the fuel tank appears to be empty. Yeah, that's bone dry. That's good. Where's the dipstick? Dipstick. It's kind of weird with this baffle here. Let's just make sure we got some oil. Yeah, I saw a drip. So we got some oil. Not a lot. I'll have to throw some more in there. So, cool thing is, that this hood will come off real easy. This, where can I put you? Where can I put you? Well, how about there? This is one of those ones where it just lifts right off. And I like that. Now we can see just about everything. So, yeah, got some goodies there. It looks like insulation, like fiberglass insulation. So I think we're gonna have to just start with taking this whole cover off and assess it. Take a look at the carburetor. Let me get the bowl off. Yeah, it's like the fuel shut-off solenoid is what's holding the bowl on. So we can take a look at the bowl. Now, I mean, if he was running it with all this debris in here, that would restrict the air and cause it to be quite rich. So maybe that's why it had black smoke, but there's no, I mean, normally if it's burning oil, it's white smoke, so that's not really as big a concern. And he also didn't say, like, you know, was it smoking from the engine or from the exhaust or whatever. He just said it was smoking. So let me get some tools, we'll get the cover off, and we'll start taking a look. Alright, it's 3/8 to get these two off of the baffle. Gotta get them off. It is so windy. I don't even know how windy it is, but it's windy. I mean, I'm sure you guys can hear this audio probably sucks. That's what holds the fuel tank in too. But we had to get those off to switch to a 5/16 to get that one, this one, that one, and then probably a 3/8 to get in the front. So let's buzz them out. Maybe. How about you? No. This is not 5/16. The metric? 8mm, I bet. That's too bad. Probably want to keep that. I think, yeah, it's sheared right off. That sucks. I'm gonna have to drill that one out. So perhaps I should be a little more gentle. I'm gonna, let's see here. I really don't want to use an impact since I already broke one. And I can't put you anywhere where you can see. Let me get a socket. Yeah, these are all awfully cruddy. Yep, there's that one. So it looks like we're gonna be busting these and replacing them, which kind of stinks. Oh, sure, now this one comes out. Easy peasy, right? The good thing is that those ones are 3 bolts, so I can just drill them out and put a bolt and a nut. You guys are going for a ride. This tripod, it's nice because it's magnetic, but I mean it's Amazon quality, so I'm sure you know what I mean. Alright. Well, that one, 10 millimeter here in the front. There's that. Now, these ones on the side don't look like they go into the shroud, but they might be just holding pressure. So I think maybe if we just loosen them. Same thing with the oil dipstick keeper. Just loosening those. Okay, we got a little movement. A little movement. Let's go ahead and disconnect this. And I think that's going to be 8 millimeter again. Sure is. I'm really curious to see it. Like, I know I watch a lot of videos and guys have problems with mice and squirrels and stuff, and at least for where I'm at, it doesn't seem to be too big of an issue, so I've never really encountered what I think we're about to see. Alright, this dipstick keeper wants to come out. It's asking to please come out. It's hard to tell when there's so much oil and sludge. And is that a leak, or is that people being careless when they, do an oil change? This is probably a bit of both. I would guess that the dipstick O-ring is probably bad. And on the other side, the same thing, the drain tube has probably got a bad O-ring. There's a lot of it's consistent oil buildup. Oof. Well, look at that. I mean, that's about as packed can be. I'm gonna go ahead and cover that up until I can get it cleaned up so it doesn't litter our entire yard. Hold your breath. looks a little bit better. Now assessing the damage, you can see that our friends here chewed through that lead, almost through that one. Some discoloration here. I'll leave it to your imagination as to what that's from. On this side here, looks pretty good. So I'm gonna need to splice in a jumper here. There should be no big deal. Let's put a new end on here. What do you say we pop this bowl off? See what's behind there. So a 13 millimeter should be enough to spin this solenoid out, and plunger works, so that's good. And then in the bowl, there's a lot of crud. The bowl looks really clean. It's just there's a lot of dirt. So we'll clean that out, hose off that carb, and throw it back on. I don't think there's any need to do a full disassembly here. Of course, if the bowl's that dirty, then there's a good chance that perhaps the jet is also dirty. So I'll take a look with the mirror and see what I see. All right, so here you can see my splice with some nice shrink wrap. Got everything put back together. I'm gonna put the cover back on, or this cowl, shroud, whatever you want to call it, for the time being, just because it's got the igniter and the voltage regulator on it, and I just want to test this engine to see if we can get it to fire. And I don't think that's going to work without that stuff. The voltage regulator should be fine without it, because that just charges the battery. But obviously the igniter for the ignition. Let's hook the jumper pack on to the battery leads. Looks like the seat safety's been bypassed. Let's just see what we get. Nothing. Okay. Let's try it with the brake on. Okay, I'm getting a click at least, so the solenoid appears to be working. All right, it's the next day. Sun just came out briefly. It's been raining all day, but at least it's less windy. With the battery tray out, I can see a few things here. This is a 4-post solenoid. So you've got the battery post, starter post. This must be the ground and the signal or power coming in. So the power activates the solenoid, which draws a metal bar up and completes the circuit between the battery and sends power to the starter. that's all fine and dandy. It's pretty dirty in here. And originally I was thinking that, maybe there's one of these terminals is dirty, but they don't, this one's obviously clean. It was covered by this boot. Did a good job. Um, when I was checking with the multimeter, I had continuity between everything. So I know that I don't have a bad wire or anything like that. Um, as it currently was with the battery connected, I just removed it. I would get the solenoid to click like you saw, but nothing would turn over on the starter. If I disconnect the signal and put power to here, then the starter turns over. So we're not getting power through this signal wire, which it's white, and just doing a little bit of tracing here, it comes back to where somebody put this jumper in. So I traced back the other side of the jumper, and it went to this interlock down here. I think that's for the reverse interlock. And this plug is pretty filthy, and so is that interlock. I've been trying to get this out. It's 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 tough. I mean, there's stuff in the way, and I can't get a good grip on it. So I think right now I'm just gonna clean. I'm gonna get the air compressor. I'm gonna blast all this dirt out of here. Clean the backs of these. Since somebody already jumped this, I don't know what this was for. None of this really does anything at this point. So worst case scenario, looking at this interlock, blue is probably power coming in. We could probably just cut this and run it to here and just eliminate the whole interlock. I don't want to do that if we don't have to. And I might have a good used one, but I'm just going to clean everything out, see if that helps. And then if we get a signal, we'll go from there. If not, then we'll look at our alternatives. Okay, we just got that all cleaned out. I just blew some compressed air in here with the interlock out. I could just kind of blast everything and clean out some of the terminals and whatnot. Let's just give it a bump and see what happens. Well, we had something. Now we're back where we were, and the rain's starting again. So a little update. I tried putting power directly to the starter and got nothing. So nothing. And I took it all apart to see if there was anything obvious. It was filthy on the outside. Inside wasn't too bad. But I couldn't find anything, obviously damaged with it. I don't know if it didn't appear as though the magnets were separating, but there's too much resistance. It doesn't want to spin over. Even by hand, I couldn't turn it over. So I'm assuming it must be the magnets, even though it wasn't like readily apparent. Long story short, I think that starter's toast. So I'm gonna have to look in the parts machines to see if we have something else. So that being said, I don't think that has anything to do with well, I mean, it probably has something to do with it, but we still weren't getting power to the starter. So there's still something else wrong. Either solenoid's bad or this interlock is bad. One of the two. Or probably both. All right, so we got a jumper coming from one of these blue inputs going straight to this signal. So we're just bypassing the interlocks right now, and I want to see if we get 12 volts, and we do. Okay, so the solenoid appears to be working fine. And I guess we could just eliminate the brake interlock and just jump directly to that signal on the solenoid. It's a pain to get this interlock out and replace it. And I was looking it up, it was like 25 bucks. And the new starter is 35, I think. So we're looking at 60 bucks. I have a tube for this tire. No, the other one. I have a tube for this tire. That's no big deal, but I have to get a tube for this one, which is another 18, we'll call it 20 bucks. So what are we up? 80 bucks. Oil filter, oil, probably a carb kit. I mean, we're running up to 100 bucks, so I figured this machine's probably worth maybe 200. So I might just delete the brake interlock altogether. But I mean, we can't even test. I don't even know if it runs. We can't even test it until we get a starter. And because I checked all my parts machines and I don't have a starter that we can use. So I'm going to have to order that. But in the meantime, I suppose we could throw that tube in. Maybe we'll pop the carb off and assess it. And we'll just kind of, do some basic stuff. And hopefully there's compression. We can't even turn it over to check for compression. So this could end up being a poor decision, but let's just go for it. I just depinned this blue from the receiver and ran it right to the signal for the solenoid. All right, let's get this carb off. I took the two nuts, 10 millimeter nuts off the air cleaner housing, so I can just slide off. And we gotta, let's see if we can just pop that off. Get our fuel line. And there we go. Just a tire wrap. This fuel line's gonna have to get replaced. It's pretty junky. And then our linkages. Here we go. and like a grounding nut, maybe 8mm. Yeah. There we go. So this did get rained on, so it's a little wet, but right here there's a little drip, and it seems to be coming from the governor arm. So I'm gonna have to look at that. I don't have a carb kit for this carb, but I do have a fair amount of miscellaneous Kohler gaskets, so I'm okay with taking the chance, I guess. If we need to get one, we'll get one. It doesn't look too bad in here, honestly. The only reason why I'm doing this is because I need to wait for the starter to come, so may as well eliminate this as a potential problem going forward. We'll get all this cleaned out so that way we know that it's in good shape. Yeah, this gasket's toast. No surprise there. That one's toast. Let's see here. A pair of pliers here. There we go. Not a whole lot we can do on here, really. We'll get that grounding wire off. Possibly. The emulsion tube looks like it's bent. It's not sitting in there very straight. I'd like to get some of these jets out, but it doesn't seem like it's really serviceable. I don't even know how. Yeah, there's really nothing else we can do. This is one of those metering valves that is governed, so you can only go from there to there. You can't take it off, but then you're destroying the valve there, so I'll probably just leave that. Just work on getting this gasket off as much as I can before we soak it. I'll clean this up. I'll throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner and we'll start doing something else. Alright, while the carb is cooking, I got the front wheel off. This is the inner, and it's no wonder why it's not holding air. I mean, that's a pretty healthy crack there. A lot of checking all the way around. So let's get a tube put in here. Alright, so it's a couple days later. We got our new starter put in, and funny thing happened. Let me see this just for a second. We were having a hard time getting voltage across the solenoid when this brake interlock was connected. Well, just by cleaning and having the new starter in, I think we got it. So with the emergency brake engaged, more or less, let's just see. I'm not going to run it because we still don't have the governor shaft seal on this side, so I don't want it spewing oil. I just want to make sure that this thing will crank over, because then we know that we can move forward a little bit. Which we do. So the good news is that we know that we don't need to replace any of the interlocks. We know the solenoid is good, and we know that the new starter is good. I did put the tube in the front tire because I had it, but I haven't ordered the tube for the rear tire yet, and I haven't ordered an engine overhaul kit, engine oil filter, air filter, fuel filter, any of that stuff yet, because we haven't even tested. Without the starter, we weren't able to test for compression, we weren't even able to test for spark, or even to figure out the symptom that the previous owner was talking about with the black smoke. So really the first part was just to get this thing to turn over, and we've gotten that far, but I think I'm going to wrap it up here for now just to get this video out for this week. And then in the next video, we'll continue digging into this Poulan Pro and figuring out, doing more of a diagnosis to figuring out whether or not this is going to run, what sort of problems it has, and what we need to do to fix it. So with that, I'm going to sign off here, but if you have any questions or comments, please let me know in the comment section below. And until next time, thanks for watching.